Hello and welcome. You're watching the NewsHour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. For the last 3 days, all right-thinking people in the country have been waiting. Waiting since the horrifying images of 2 men being lynched in Punjab over suspicion of desecration came out. Let's leave aside for a moment what happened in Amritsar because issues of sentiment and religious sensitivities have been raised as far as the Amritsar episode is concerned. But let's focus solely on Kapurthala today because it's stunning. The silence over what happened inside that Gurdwara in Kapurthala. It's been over 80 hours since an unknown man was beaten and hacked to his death. There are videos of him before the assault that make it quite clear that he may be mentally disturbed, maybe even a minor. Then there is a video of the assault on him that shows how the whole thing was live streamed on social media. People literally watched that murder live. In fact, people were encouraged through that live to come and assault him. It was an open invitation to everyone. The impunity and the cruelty is mind-boggling.
सवेरे 4 बजे असी नितनेम करने वास्ते उठे ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਇਹ ਰੰਗੇ ਹੱਥੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਬੇਅਦਬੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਚਾਨਕ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲਾਈਟ ਕੱਟੀ ਗਈ ਹਨੇਰੇ ਕਾਰਨ ਇਹ ਥੱਲੇ ਆਇਆ ਥੱਲੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਮੌਕੇ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਭੱਜਣ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸ਼ਖਸ ਨੂੰ ਫੜਿਆ ਜੋ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਦਿੱਲੀ ਤੋਂ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਦੱਸ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਬੇਅਦਬੀ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਸਮੁੱਚੀਆਂ ਜਥੇਬੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਲਾਕੇ ਦੇ ਮੋਹਤਬਰ ਬੰਦੇ ਬੁਲਾਏ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਚੌਂਕੀ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੇ ਹਵਾਲੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ ਦੇਖੋ ਪੱਥਰ ਦੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁੱਟ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਆਪਣਾ ਨਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਦੱਸ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਮੁੱਚੀਆਂ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਥੇਬੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈ ਸਮੁੱਚੇ ਇਲਾਕੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਮੁੱਚੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਭਾਈ ਸੁਚੇਤ ਹੋ ਜਾਓ ਆਪੋ ਆਪਣੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹਿਰੇ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਰੱਖੋ
What's doubly shocking is that despite the whole world having seen this murder live, not a single FIR has been filed in the case, leave alone actually making any arrests. In fact, the sole FIR that has been filed in the Kapurthala case is for desecration. And it's based on the word of the very man who's seen encouraging and abetting the murder of this innocent man. The reason why I call it the murder of an innocent is that the police itself, the Punjab police itself has admitted there was no desecration. He was beaten, he was hacked purely on suspicion. Purely on suspicion of a desecration that never was. What on earth explains the inaction of the police so far? They know he was innocent. They know he was murdered. They aren't moving a finger. What explains the silence of the government? Parts of which, in fact, seem now to be tacitly justifying the lynching.
देखो जो हुआ है अमृतसर में हुआ है कपूरथला में हुआ है वो ठीक नहीं हुआ भावना तो हर के मन में है ही है और जिसको ठेस पहुंचती है वो ऐसे काम कर ही लेते हैं सो मैं समझता हूँ ऐसे जो पकड़ के पुलिस को दे देते इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो जाती तो और अच्छा होता
हो सकता है कि चुनावा करके कोई गलत एजेंसियां गलत ताकतां गलत रोल खेलन की कोशिश कर रही होण उन्होंने बेनकाब भी किया जाएगा।
मैं नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू पुत्र सरदार भगवंत सिंह सिद्धू स्वतंत्रता सेनानी ऐलान करदा कि अगर किते भी बेअदबी होवे चाहे कुरान शरीफ दी होवे चाहे भगवत गीता दी होवे चाहे गुरु ग्रंथ साहब दी होवे सामने लोगों दे लिया के फाहा ला देना चाहिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन दी सब तो बड़ी सजा देनी चाहिए क्योंकि वो साडियां जज्बातां दे उत्ते ठेस है।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us on the debate, Ramnik Jaan, political analyst. We also have Parvinder Singh Sethi, Senior Vice President and Chief Spokesperson of the Shirmani Akali Dal. Kapil Madan, lawyer and supporter of the Indian National Congress, political analyst Tehseen Poonawalla. Kapil Madan, I want to first ask you, the SIT we were told would tell us the truth. Let's talk only about Kapurthala, that we would know the truth within 2 days. What's the truth?
So, Padmaja ji, I think we should wait for the report. Having said that, I would say here any kind of extrajudicial killing should be condemned. However, at the same time, as a lawyer, I would once again reiterate that the incident of sacrilege and the consequent killing both are serious in nature.
In Kapurthala, there was no sacrilege.
Padmaja ji, there is no report out.
There is no sacrilege in Kapurthala.
There is no report.
Sir, there is no sacrilege in Kapurthala.
Padmaja ji, I think that is your own conclusion. The police is yet to issue. The police is yet to file.
Let me play for you what the IG, G.S. Dhillon has said. G.S. Dhillon has said on record, and I quote, "We have registered an FIR based on the statement of Amarjeet Singh. As far as sacrilege act inside Gurdwara is concerned, there is nothing. Complainant alleged there was an attempt to desecrate the Nishan Sahib, but there is nothing that shows any desecration of the holy flag. Nothing." The IG has said this on record.
Padmaja ji, if you know the criminal justice system, after the registration of the FIR, there is a charge sheet that needs to be filed. The charge sheet will disclose what exactly has happened after the conclusion of investigation. And having said that, our leader Rahul ji has categorically and openly, publicly has raised an issue of lynching. And I think this is the time when
But not about Punjab. I'm so glad you mentioned that. He hasn't said a word on Punjab. Not one zip. Not a syllable, not a breath, not a tweet, not a word.
Okay, you show me.
It's been 3 days.
Mr. Modi.
Where has? अरे आप तो राहुल गांधी की बात करते हैं, अब आप मोदी पे क्यों आ गए? मोदी आपके लीडर हैं क्या? मोदी की बात रमनीक मान करेंगे?
प्राइम मिनिस्टर
सरकार किसकी है? सरकार किसकी है पंजाब में? आप जो मुझे क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम समझा रहे हैं सर, ये बताइए क्रिमिनल, व्हाट डज द क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम से अबाउट FIRs?
Madam, FIR is something that brings the criminal law into motion.
Yes.
Only again, I am not, want to raise technical issues here.
When a crime happens,
I'm saying,
when a crime happens,
with a sense of responsibility.
When a crime happens, sir, since you very patronizingly explained the criminal justice system to me, how will you expect this criminal justice system to work in the case of Kapurthala lynching when you haven't filed an FIR? You haven't filed an FIR.
In fact, I also read the press conference and that said that there is an FIR in the killing also and they are investigating.
There is no FIR. There is no FIR.
The SP has on record said there has been a condemnation. Our leader, Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, has on record said that he condemned the act of lynching.
Sir, I condemn inflation. Happy?
That
people condemn inflation.
So, madam,
let's all sit at home.
The process of the law.
We condemn murder. Why have a murder law? Let's say, murder has happened. We condemn.
The culprit should be booked.
Arson has happened. Let's condemn. Dowry death, let's condemn. Condemnation is it? We are all happy. Condemnation has happened. Thank God. There was condemnation. Now that man's family, whoever he is, should just be happy. He's like, so what if he was hacked to death? People are condemning. That is okay. My friend, why is there no FIR?
Padmaja ji.
You are a lawyer. Why is there no FIR?
Padmaja ji, because SIT is investigating.
What is it investigating? There is no FIR. When there is no report, what are you investigating?
Madam, tell me something. Padmaja ji, tell me something. If there is an incident of sacrilege, there is already an FIR.
Okay? There is no sacrilege here. Your IG has said it.
That's you are saying. He said that
I'm not saying. IG is saying. I just played out what the IG said.
It is not a charge sheet. It is not a charge sheet that has been filed as of
Ramnik
now.
Jaan, this
Please
is,
wait.
you know,
Why are you jumping the gun?
One feels that one is banging one's head against a wall. We are being told about a charge sheet in a case where there is no FIR. How can you have a charge sheet when there is no FIR?
Padmaja ji,
sir, you have your time, it's my time. Padmaja, can you please ask
it's
the
your
gentleman
time.
to allow me
Ramnik
some
Jaan.
time to speak?
There is no FIR, but we'll have a charge sheet. Ramnik Jaan.
Thank you.
No, I've
Now,
never said that there
as-
can be a charge sheet without
As
the
far
FIR.
as the
I've never
gentleman
said
here
that.
is concerned,
Let me
when he talks
clarify.
about the criminal justice system, I must remind him that the state president of Congress party in Punjab is on record saying that these people should be hung in public. That is the criminal justice system's definition of Congress party in Punjab. If I quote their president, the state president, number one. Number two, now when he says there is a sacrilege, he's talking about a man who's mentally challenged, who's hungry. He gets inside a gurdwara to have some rotis. If eating roti inside a gurdwara is sacrilege, then God save you, sir. And God save you for trying to cover up murder like that, sir.
Ramnik
Now let me
ji,
bring up correct facts before you, Padmaja, and through you, the rest of the world and rest of the country. Sir, you had your time.
I started by saying,
Sir, you had your time. Padmaja, I am leaving the debate. This is not the way I debate.
No. One
You
by
don't allow
one.
to-
Please,
you don't let
because
me
the
speak.
facts have to be out there.
Why are you trying to muzzle my voice?
No, there'll be no
I
muzzling.
am only
Yes.
telling you, let the real facts come out. Now, the caretaker of this Gurdwara is called Mr. Amarjeet Singh. This Amarjeet Singh was a pro-Khalistani ultra. He converted into a cat. Cat is a word which was used by people who became informers for the Punjab.
Ramnik Jaan, I would
His
request you,
handler,
please,
now
let's not
a
make
commissioner rank
statements which
officer
can be seen as
outside-
inciting. We cannot personally corroborate
I am
what you are
telling you
saying.
the facts. These are the
Let's
facts.
please stick to facts.
These are the, you will eventually corroborate. Padmaja, you will eventually
I'm
corroborate.
saying
Let
it
me
openly.
finish.
We
I am
cannot
not
corroborate
blaming
what you're
anybody.
saying,
I'm
and
not
I again
blaming any
advise
officer.
you to not make these statements about any one individual. These
Okay,
are very
fine.
inciting statements.
Yes, Amarjeet's passport reveals that he was a regular visitor to Pakistan. And he's in touch with a commissioner rank officer outside the range. Outside Jalandhar range. Kapurthala is in Jalandhar range. Outside Jalandhar range. And they have interacted over the phone several times. So there is a different angle to all of this all. I don't think it was a case of sacrilege. And yes, this is a cold-blooded murder. And murder case should be registered against the people involved, especially those who can be identified in the video. And I'm on record. And I'm saying this with every responsibility behind me.
And I do not want to attribute motives to what Amarjeet Singh did, but what he did, why he did it, we do not know. That should be investigated. But an investigation, Tehseen Poonawalla, is not possible unless there is an FIR. Do you know what the irony is? And I want to play it out for our viewers. The fact is that within 24 hours of the murder in Kapurthala, the police actually said there is an FIR. And within a span of 45 minutes, they turned around. 45 minutes later, they said, oh, there is no FIR. We are still figuring out what went wrong. Listen to what happened.
एक FIR 305 ਨੰਬਰ ਉਹਦੀ ਸਟੇਟਮੈਂਟ ਤੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਜਿਹੜੀ ਨੈਕਸਟ FIR ਹੈਗੀ ਆ 306 ਨੰਬਰ ਹੈਗੀ ਉਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਰਡਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਜਿਸਟਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ।
306 ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਰਚਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਚ 22 ਨੇਮ ਨੋਮੀਨੇਟਡ ਨੇ ਫॉर ਹਾਊ ਮੈਨੀ ਪਰਸਨਸ 4 ਪਰਸਨ ਬਾਈ ਨੇਮ ਨੇ 106 ਨੰਬਰ FIR ਹੈ ਉਹ ਅਜੇ ਦਰਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਈ ਉਹ ਤਹਿਰੀਰ ਵੈਰੀਫਾਈ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ 305 ਵਾਲੀ ਦਰਜ 302 ਵਾਲੀ ਅਜੇ ਦਰਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਈ ਸਿਰਫ 305 ਵਾਲੀ ਦਰਜ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਈ ਹੈਵ ਟਾਕ ਟੂ ਦੀ SHO we are going I am taking a U-turn not based on any pressure the U-turn is based on the fact that we have registered one FIR is a continuous process second thing they are verified from the fellow namely ਜਿਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਪਰਚਾ ਦਰਜ ਕਰਵਾਇਆ what's his name Amarjeet we are verifying the facts.
So, Tehseen Poonawalla, it's not just that the case didn't happen. There was a case of murder. But somebody pressured the police to cover up. The government of Punjab is literally letting people get away with the murder of this man in Kapurthala. And the question the government must answer is, why?
I want to answer your question, but before I just want one clarification. Is Mr. Maan from the BJP? I'm going to answer your question specifically. Just wanted to answer that one question for my knowledge. Is he from the BJP?
No, he's a political analyst. He's not affiliated to the BJP.
Okay, but
No, sir,
all
I'm
right.
a political analyst.
Fair. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate it. What my friend, Kapil Madan is saying, I'll just explain this to your viewers. There is an SIT that has been constituted. They, on a base of a complaint which is in written. The SIT will file the FIR when it comes to a conclusion, I think in a day or two. The SIT is investigating two things. A, the attempt to sacrilege. There was no sacrilege, but the attempt to sacrilege, and the subsequent death that followed. Now I understand that the most important ritual in our country is the rule of law. The most holy book is the Constitution. But when people like Mr. Maan call people serving in the Gurudwara Khalistanis, it hurts Indians, it hurts our Sikhs. And which political party benefits by calling Sikhs Khalistanis, Pakistanis?
You know, I do not want to go down that road because this is not about the affiliation of anyone. No, I'm going to stop it right there. I'm going to stop it right there. Ramnik Jaan, Tehseen Poonawalla, I'm saying it at the outset. My concern is about the murder of a man. That in itself is a law and order issue. The murder should be addressed. Why that man did it is none of my concern. That should be investigated. The fact is he murdered or he participated in the murder of a human being. And let me now correct you, Tehseen Poonawalla. The SIT is not investigating the murder. The SIT is investigating sacrilege. That's it. There is no 302. There is no 304. There is no attempt to murder charge in that FIR. The only charges are of sacrilege that never was. So how will we ever know who murdered this man? And you know what is the biggest irony? That FIR in Kapurthala has been filed on the complaint of the very man who is on video. You see his video right now saying, come, beat up this man. He has committed sacrilege. Come on, everyone come and beat. We will not allow the police to intervene. He is the complainant in the FIR. Who is exhorting people to murder.
Okay, may I be allowed to finish? Thank you. Can I just?
Let Tehseen Poonawalla finish, then I will come back to you, Kapil Madan. Yes.
So we both agree, and Kapil agrees, that there is an SIT that has been constituted to look at the sacrilege, and that there was some sort of an incident that happened which led to a murder as per you. And that will have to be put in the report. If it doesn't,
as
the court will throw it out.
The man is dead. It's not as if I'm making an allegation. Was he beaten? Yes, it's on camera. Is he dead? Yes, even that is on camera. Was he actually hacked? You know, the thing that we are not saying loudly enough, Civil Hospital Senior Medical Officer Dr. Sandeep Dhawan has said that there are 8 deep, sharp cuts which are inflicted on the victim, likely by swords. The man wasn't just beaten, he was hacked to death. And we are sitting here debating about whether he asked for it by committing sacrilege or whether this was a murder and should it be investigated and what the SIT is doing. There is not an apparent murder. There is a murder, Tehseen Poonawalla.
And won't this report of the medical college or institute be put in front of a court? Of course it will have to go in front of a court. It's a part of the SIT.
Sure it will. Sure it will.
Thank you.
Till then,
you answered my question.
Okay, so Ramnik
Maan,
eventually the court will decide. Then why should we have to ask the police or the government any questions?
Absolutely.
Ramnik Maan.
The court will decide on what the police submits as its report. I personally feel Punjab police may not be the fittest force or the organization to investigate this case. This case should go to a higher agency so that the truth can eventually come out. My personal feeling is that this is going to be twisted and turned because despite the facts coming out, there is no FIR yet in the case of this murder. A man has been hacked to death, lynched to death for, in my opinion, consuming rotis inside a Gurdwara Sahib, and allegedly by them for attempting a sacrilege. This has gone actually, Padmaja, too far. and this has been going for a very long time. You've seen now that people have torn up pages of Gita and thrown them out. So there is a greater conspiracy to this. This Punjab election 2022 is not just between the political parties in India, the Congress, the BJP, the Akali Dal or the Aam Aadmi Party. It also extends to other parties at play across the Ratcliffe line, the ISI, the Pakistani agencies, and other people who are interested in destabilizing this country, who are interested in destabilizing Punjab, who are interested in creating communal disharmony and civil rights situation in this
Absolutely.
country. So I feel that this should now be sent to a higher agency.
There should be a higher agency, and Parvinder Singh Sethi, the bigger concern is, just a second, Tehseen Poonawalla, the bigger concern is that no murder, no crime should be whitewashed by hiding it behind sacrilege. This essentially still is and remains a law and order issue which the government of Punjab must answer. Why isn't it answering?
Correct. करेक्ट।
देखिए आप जो बोल रहे हैं ये एक जांच का विषय है, लेकिन जहां पे बेअदबी हुई है, पहले बंगला साहब गुरुद्वारे में बेअदबी होती है, उसको पुलिस के हवाले कर दिया जाता है, वो इसको ये कह के छोड़ देते हैं ये मानसिक रोगी है। उसी तरह से आनंदपुर साहब में होता है। उसी कड़ी के साथ ये हरमंदिर साहब में चुनावों के समय में, पहले भी चुनावों के समय में ऐसे बेअदबी हुई। देखिए एक धार्मिक भावनाएं हैं, हम एक आप इसको लिंचिंग का नाम मत दीजिए। लिंचिंग होती है जब एक ग्रुप जाके किसी इनोसेंट आदमी के साथ लिंचिंग करता है।
सर क्या
अगर
बोल रहे हैं
व्यक्ति हरमंदिर
ये
साहब
ग्रुप
के अंदर,
नहीं तो मारा, ये सब तो वीडियो में है। बेअदबी किधर? सर बेअदबी नहीं होनी चाहिए, पर यहाँ बेअदबी नहीं हुई तो पुलिस मान रही है।
आप मेरी बात पूरी होने दीजिए मैडम।
आप इसको बेअदबी का नाम क्यों दे रहे हैं?
तो समझिए कि उस क्राइम के पीछे कौन सी ताकतें हैं, कौन सी संस्था है, कौन सा देश है जो पंजाब का भाईचारा खत्म करना चाहता है।
परविंदर जी क्या आपको फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि एक आदमी की हत्या कर दी गई?
इसका राजनीति का विषय नहीं बनाना चाहिए।
राजनीति का विषय नहीं है, राजनीति की वजह से तो एक आदमी की हत्या को कवर अप किया जा रहा है।
मैं देश की सरकार को, सेंट्रल सरकार को रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहूंगा इसकी सीबीआई जांच हो, इसके पीछे इंटेलिजेंस की जांच हो कि इसके पीछे कौन सी ताकतें हैं। देखिए चुनाव अभी पंजाब में है, अभी चुनाव यूपी में होगा। अभी तो ये देखिए जो वो चाहते हैं हम वही कर रहे हैं। उनको मालूम है कि हरमंदिर साहब के अंदर जो व्यक्ति ये काम करेगा उसको वहां की संगत लाखों लोग आते हैं और धार्मिक भावनाओं में उसके साथ जो भी मारपीट हुई गलत है, लेकिन धार्मिक भावना भी बड़ा मैटर है। लेकिन इसके पीछे का उद्देश्य
सेठी साहब आप मर्डर को जस्टिफाई नहीं कर सकते। किसी की धार्मिक भावना जान से ऊपर नहीं होती। आप जो जस्टिफिकेशन दे रहे हैं सर, ये वही जस्टिफिकेशन है जो वो लोग कह देते हैं, कहते हैं कि अच्छा इस ट्रक में गाय जा रही थी, हमने आदमी को मार दिया, उसके घर में गाय कट रही थी, हमने आदमी को मार दिया। ये कोई जस्टिफिकेशन नहीं है साहब। यू कैन नॉट जस्टिफाई मर्डर।
ये नेशनल जो है थ्रेट है। इसके बाद और बड़ी दुर्घटनाएं होने वाली हैं।
And I'm surprised. You know what I'm really surprised about? That Tehseen Poonawalla, you were somebody who went to court asking for an anti-lynching law, but today when it comes to a Congress-ruled state and a murder, a lynching on camera, you are putting in caveats? You had a zero tolerance policy. Today you're not speaking up against lynching. The man was literally live stream lynched. It was a live lynching.
हमारे घर में आके हमारी भावनाओं को हरमंदिर साहब
सर हरमंदिर साहब का हर कोई रिस्पेक्ट करता है, पर यहाँ पंजाब पुलिस ने बोला है कि कोई बेअदबी नहीं हुई और अगर हुई भी तो उसमें मर्डर नहीं हो सकता। आई एम वेरी सॉरी सर, मर्डर का कोई जस्टिफिकेशन नहीं है, कोई जस्टिफिकेशन नहीं है।
क्या है आगे क्या होने वाला है ये
एक सेकंड and let me also put out few more facts over here. The fact also is that the complainant in this case has himself said that Guru Granth Sahib was on the top floor of the Gurdwara. This man was caught on the ground floor. He never got to the top floor. So the circumstances must be investigated, but for that we need an FIR. And a man is dead in the meantime. But you tell me Tehseen Poonawalla, how is it okay for there to be caveats in the investigation of a man's murder?
There is no caveat. I'll answer it. If I may be allowed to speak.
Go on. Yes. Tehseen
Thank
Poonawalla,
you.
yes.
There is zero caveat. Tomorrow, day after the SIT report comes in, including the medical report, and they will have to investigate it as per the directions of the Honorable Supreme Court in my case, number one. Number two, with regards to Congress and mob lynching, it is only Congress rule states that have passed anti-mob laws. The President of India is not signing it. That leads to one important question where I want to end. Party gains from turmoil in Punjab, from
Listen,
turmoil
I do
in
not
Uttar
want to
Pradesh,
go into those conspiracy theories about who gains, Khalistan. No, this is not my remit. This is not my remit. And again, when I mentioned a caveat, would you have been as lenient and said, oh, the SIT will have to file an FIR when the court steps in? Why should the court have to step in for an FIR? It's the duty of the police to file an FIR if a man has been murdered. And the police hasn't done its job because they are under pressure, and that is why it's a crime shame. I want to stop for a second because I just to absolutely clear the air, I want to play out what GS Dhillon said. He's the IG of the Jalandhar range. Let's once and for all clear the air when it comes to the issue of sacrilege, because he himself says there is no sacrilege. Listen.
Ajay, we are registered today the FIR based on the statement of ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਅਮਰਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦਾ caretaker control. As far as sacrilege concerning to Gurudwara Sahib, there is nothing. He is saying कि निशान साहब ਨੂੰ ਖੋਲਣ ਕੇ ਛੇੜਖਾਨੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ. But there is at present ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਦਸਤ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੈ, there is no event visible that something was done to the Nishan Sahib.
So I want to finally ask you, Ramnik Jaan, will we ever learn the truth of what happened, or will sensitivities and sentiments overshadow the life and the murder of a man?
Well, Padmaja, to be honest and to answer the question correctly, I don't see Punjab Police delivering justice, at least not under the current regime. It is sad how Tehseen chooses to respond about lynching. He forgets what they did or the party did in 1984. We were about 8,000 Sikhs lynched, killed,
you forgot
burnt
what
alive.
Has been done
I don't want to repeat all that because it's all in public knowledge, and what justice has been delivered. They rewarded Kamal Nath by making him the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. They rewarded Jagdish Titler by making him a Union Minister. They rewarded Sajjan Kumar by making him a Union Minister. That's what their history is.
Okay.
They have utter disregard for human life or for religious sentiments per se. Now my point is, unless this investigation goes to a central agency,
no political statement.
I have no hope.
Then I will be allowed to make.
In this case, especially the mentally challenged
only
person,
the BJP benefits from turmoil in Punjab.
Who was killed.
Only the BJP benefits from turmoil in Punjab. That's why
I don't know who benefits from turmoil in Punjab. Why did you create turmoil in Punjab before 1984? Why did you target killed?
Today Punjab is peaceful. You can't see it. Therefore you call somebody sitting in a Gurudwara Khalistan.
Who benefited from that? Why did you ignore the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits from Jammu and Kashmir in 1991?
Okay, let me again reiterate that I do not and we do not support or condone any such comment that has been made by any such individual. The fact though remains that a murder has happened, and that murder should be investigated, because politics and politicians will come and go, they will change, but this man's life cannot be restored. At the very least, somebody deserves to go to jail for this murder that happened in plain sight. And all of us are quiet about it as a country. Even an FIR is not lodged. We should all be ashamed of it. Let's hope that at least whatever little pressure that all of us can collectively exert, at the very least results in an FIR and investigation into this heinous crime. Thanks very much for joining me.